Welcome back to BreslovCampus. Insights in this amazing parsha, so rich, Parshat Yitro. There's so much in it. The Ten Commandments, what more can you go with that? But in the introduction to the parsha, where Yitro advises Moshe Rabbeinu of how to disseminate and teach and to be there for the Jewish people. The wording of Yitro was to Moshe Rabbeinu, Nabol Tibol. The way you are taking care of things, Moshe Rabbeinu, is not fit for you or for the Jewish people, because they will wither. What was happening is that Moshe Rabbeinu himself was taking care of every tiny incident in question. They brought it to him, and there was a lineup of so many Jews. Just imagine the Jews in the desert, over 600,000 men, and there's one Rav to try to answer all their questions. So for sure was burdening, especially for them. It took a long time to get their answers, and also it was a toughness on Moshe Rabbeinu that answers wouldn't be so clearly explained if the time is a big factor. So Yitro suggested to Moshe Rabbeinu, have disciples under you. Have disciples who will be leaders to answer questions. Have, for every 1,000 Jews, one Rav, one of your disciples who will be there to answer questions, and then one for every 100, and one for every 10. And according to how severe the question is, so then it goes up and up and up until it reaches to you. In other words, if there are 10 people, and in the group of 10 there's one Rav, he's there to answer simple, straightforward questions and to help clarify simple matters. But if it's a deeper question, so it goes up to the next rung of the one for every 100. So that's for 100 people, and he takes the questions of the rabbis within the groups of 10, and it's a more serious question, so he's able to have more depth than them and explain it better. And if even he can't understand it, so he sends it to the Rav of the 1,000, where he, now having 1,000 people under him, is more attuned to deeper questions, deeper problems, and being able to answer them. And if even he can't solve them, so it goes up and up until it reaches finally Moshe Rabbeinu. This system is something phenomenal, because in this way Moshe Rabbeinu continues to be a tzaddik, the tzaddik of that generation, of that time, and all the other quote-unquote rabbis are just his disciples. They have more clarification, more leverage in the teachings given by Moshe Rabbeinu, so able to help the average man much better. They have better footing in the Torah wisdom than they are. So for every group of 10, you had a more common rabbi or teacher, a disciple if you want to say, but he was more firmly grounded in understanding than the other 9 of the group, so he would be able more to understand it. And if he couldn't understand it, so it would go up a rung, right, to the one for every 100, and the one for every 1,000, whatever it's mentioned in the Torah, there in the Chumash, in this week's Parsha. So it just goes up. But everyone ultimately is rooted in connected to the Tzaddik. Meaning, they're not coming here to offer newer insights, but they're here to explain the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu. So that when there's difficulty in understanding it, they go straight to the Moshe Rabbeinu himself. So Rebbe Nachman, very interesting, he mentioned a similar attitude towards his teachings and his followings. He said, Rebbe Nachman, that my flame, my fire will burn until Mashiach comes. And I am going to make followers, and these followers are going to make more followers, and these followers are going to make more followers, and so on. And the setup of his statement of he's going to have followers and followers and followers is very similar to the setup of Moshe Rabbeinu and the disciples of the group of 1,000s and 100s and 10s, even though in the case of Rebbe Nachman, it's generations that have passed already. He's been 200 years ago, and you have disciples who are no longer here, and Rebbe Nachman himself is no longer in the flesh. But still, like Rav Nosson writes, tzaddikim, even after their passing, continue to be alive. So this setup of Moshe Rabbeinu in the desert continues to exist today, in that there are tzaddikim who are so committed in being totally dedicated disciples of spreading the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu. They're not looking to enhance their own ideas, but if anything, to explain and expound the teachings of Moshe Rabbeinu, and the credit should go to Moshe Rabbeinu. They're just trying to elaborate and spread it. So too in the Breslov movement, there are disciples and disciples and disciples, and their goal is just to help clarify the teachings of Rebbe Nachman, and the more difficult the clarification needed, so it goes up to more knowledgeable people and so on. But nowhere do you see that there's like a new leader, a new Rebbe to replace Rebbe Nachman, similar to how the setup was in the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, which was that there's no other Rebbe to, God forbid, be instead of Moshe Rabbeinu. There are other students all trying to go towards Rebbe Nachman's teachings. Moshe Rabbeinu's teachings. And this was the suggestion of Yitro, because Yitro knew that people so far, like himself, where he was a master idolater, and then he dropped everything to come close to Hashem. So for sure, people of that caliber who were so far and want to come so close, they will definitely need that attitude of morsels of being able to dissect and bring down easier the teachings of a tzaddik, so that it's in manageable proportions until a person can go up and up and up until being ready to have questions that are directly presented to the tzaddik like Moshe Rabbeinu. This is the setup offered by Yitro, and this shows us how it should work if teachings of tzaddikim are to be sent and made to go very far abroad across the world, to get to the people who are so far that Judaism doesn't talk to them. So a tzaddik has to find a way through his disciples to be able to talk to them. And this is the breakdown of the thousands, the hundreds, and the tens that we see in this week's parsha.